Hello everybody, I'm David and with me this is Christian. So today we're going to talk about Sonos and how to have a great movie night.
Yeah, we are watching a whole lot more of movies because we are at home. Still circuit breaker. I'm still wearing my hat because I haven't gone to the barber, even though I could have, but the queues are just so long. So, what better to do at home than watch a movie?
Today we're going to talk about home theater and later on about our latest newest product. It's called the Sonos Arc Soundbar with Dolby Atmos.
Yeah, Sonos Arc was just launched and it's going to be available for sale in June. The special thing about the Arc is that it comes with Dolby Atmos. So if you do not know what is Dolby Atmos, that's fine. I also didn't know what that was. Later on, we're going to talk about what is Dolby Atmos, what is Dolby Surround, and what's 2.1, 3.1, 5.1, and 5.1.2. And we're going to talk about that later. Just know the ARC is going to be available in June. And we want to hear about the ARC. So why don't you tell us about the ARC?
So before I tell you about the Arc, I got a preview video just for you.
Whoa. Now, before we talk about home theater, music is very important as well to Sonos. There was a study done that says that 74% of people, they say they feel more relaxed when they listen to music, when music is on at home. And that's very important in this circuit breaker season. I have two children at home, and because there is no home-based learning during this time right now, it's good to have music that calms everybody down. So there are lots of music services available on Sonos. David, I forgot how many exactly.
Yeah, there are more than 100 music services available. So it's on Spotify, Apple Music, KKBox, Rhapsody, Diesel, Tidal, you name it, Sonos has it. And what's very cool is that actually on your Spotify app, you can actually stream direct your music from a Spotify app into your Sonos speaker. So that's how cool Sonos actually is.
And so, of course, we also want to tell you some stuff about Sonos. So, David, why don't you just tell us a little bit about Sonos in a short time as possible?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get my bubble tea, but I'm so thankful that I have Sonos at home. So Sonos is basically a wireless multi-room music system that allows you to play different songs in different rooms, or you can play the same song in all your different rooms. So it has all the music services on earth. It is very easy to set up, and some of the speakers are voice enabled, so you can use Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa to make it a smart home.
So I know you love to listen to music, but today we are talking about movies, and coincidentally, today we just watched Jumanji, and it was an amazing experience because when they were running through the desert, being followed by all the ostriches, it was just so cool to have this movie theater experience at home with the subwoofer and the surrounds and everything. It's like, I had to hold the hands of my kids because it was such a scary experience.
Yeah, it's so immersive when you have your whole home theater at your home to enjoy your family and bonding time with your loved ones. So, Christian, what makes a great movie night? For me, I think the friends at home is very important because you gotta
Hey,
hang them over.
wow. So
Wait,
you're
what?
telling the whole last life that you're having friends at home during circuit breaker?
No, 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 no. I mean, I look forward to having them to watch NBA soccer matches when it's allowed. So in the meantime, I just have to watch Netflix, Michael Jordan's The Last Dance on my own or with my wife.
Yeah, okay. So great company. What else do we need for a great movie? Great company, of course, the right
You,
movie.
that's right, the right movie and the right sound. I think these are the things that are very important to make a great movie night at home.
Yeah, so I think I mean we can really drill it down or shortlist. Okay, great company. I mean, you have your wife at home, so you have great company at home. I got my wife and my kids, so we're having a fun company, fun party at home as well. The right movie is very important. Of course, picture. Nowadays, all the flat screen TVs, they have great picture, a very immersive experience. Food is very important, popcorn, ice cream, and all the other things. Besides watching movies, I have also been watching my diet, watching the diet, the food go into my mouth most of the time. And then we also need great sound, right? That's very
Yes.
important. So the problem, or the not the problem, but the trends have been that the TVs have become bigger and flatter. If you watch your Michael Jackson movie, you have great picture on a flat screen TV, but you're expecting this great sound effect because of what you're seeing on your screen. But if all the sound, all the audio that you have comes from your TV, it will be flat. Flat screen, flat sound. There's no emotions that you can evoke with a flat sound. So it's very important to have great sound at home. Today, when we had the Jumanji movie going on, the picture was great, but the sound was awesome. I mean, that's what, when you sit on the couch, that's what makes you feel that you're part of the movie. When things run after you, you can hear it from the back, and then when you have an explosion, you can hear, and the glasses are shaking. There is the kind of an experience that you want at home. And later on today, we want to talk about how to have that kind of experience at home.
Yeah, sound is so important for the whole experience. That's why people spend money to go to the cinemas, but now we're unable to do so. That's why we need to make our house like one home cinema.
Now, David, we don't want to get too technical here, but we are talking about home theater. And before I've been doing this business with Sonos for the last 10 years. So most of my time in Singapore, I've been doing this Sonos business. But before that, I was always confused what it all means. Like, you have 5.1 and you have 2.1 and you have 3.0. And then, I don't dare to ask. I didn't dare to ask when everybody was throwing all these terms. So why don't you break it down for us? Let's start with this easiest one. What is 2.0 or even 2.1? What does it stand for?
2.0 stands for stereo, not surround. So stereo meaning that you have a left and you have a right channel. It's very different from your single mono speaker that only is one direction. But when you have a stereo speaker, your sound stage becomes much wider.
Okay, so stereo, so left and right. So I could hear some stuff on my on my left, and some stuff on my right. So what does it mean when they say 2.1? What is that 0.1? Is it a little bit more stereo, or what is the 0.1?
So the 0.1 is actually adding in a subwoofer. So you get a lot more punch and bass. So when you get a 2.0, you imagine with me, you have your guitar playing on the left, and then you have the drums playing on the right. But then when you add in a 0.1, the drums become more livelier. You get more punch and bass out of that.
All right. My son plays the drums, and I would just tell my neighbor is my sound system is 2.1, right? Uh, so, okay, so we have 2.1 now. Then what is 3.1 or 3.0?
So a 3.0 basically builds upon the 2.0. You have your left, you have the right. But now with a 3.0, you have a center channel. So the center channel is most of the time mostly for vocals, for speech. So it's more clarity. So when you hear, for example, Adele will be singing in front of you. Yeah, imagine that whole crisp, clear vocals coming out from your speakers.
Okay, so I know that I mean the products that we sell for the TV, the Beam, and the Play Bar and the Play Base, they all have 3.0, right?
Yeah, the Beam Playbar Playbase are a 3.0 setup, meaning that it has a left, center, and right channel that goes out. So you have a very good soundstage, but yet at the same time, good, clear vocals from the mid-center channel.
Okay, so now let's make it even more immersive. Let's make it even more powerful. What is 5.1 and how do we get there?
So the 5.1 basically builds upon the 3.1 where you have the left, center, right, and then the subwoofer as the point one. But now it adds on two more other speakers to become your surround or your rear speakers. So you get a more immersive sound experience. For example, with a gun shooting at you or a missile flying past you, you can literally hear the missile go past your ears because of the rear channels and the rear surround speakers that creates that whole environment to give you a more immersive sound experience.
Okay, so like today I was watching Jumanji, and one of my favorite scenes, I don't know why it's my favorite scene, but is when they're riding through the desert and there's like a horde of ostriches running after them, and you can literally hear them coming from behind. And in my virtual background, that's not my home, but my virtual background, on the table, you can actually see two white speakers, and they're the Sonos ones. And they can actually be added to a play bar, a play bass, or a beam, and they create that surround sound, right? That's what we call Dolby Surround. That's what we call 5.1, and that's how you get there. Now, earlier on, I mentioned the Sonos Arc that we just launched, and the Sonos Arc is like a sound bar, but it's a very special sound bar. So it's a Sonos Arc 3.0, 3.1, 5.1. Why don't you let us in on that?
So the latest Sonos Arc is Dolby Atmos enabled. What it means is that it can go up to 5.0.2. Now there's another decimal place.
5.0, so that means it has no subwoofer.
Yep.
0.2. So what's the 0.2?
So the 0.2 is basically inside that there's two speakers that directs upwards to shoot the sound towards your ceiling so that you can imagine like when the plane fly past you or the rainforest drops the rain. You can literally hear the sound, that's not coming from the side, but it's coming from the top down. So that's an even more immersive experience than you previously would have gotten.
All right. So in future, not only will the gunshots come from behind, but the bombs that are being dropped, they're coming from the top.
Yeah, so imagine yourself being in a dome, like the sound will come from 360-degree direction. It's a really very immersive experience when you get the Sonos Arc back home.
All right, I needed that before Circuit Breaker, but it would have been my most unproductive circuit breaker, I believe.
Yeah, so better sound, better system. So I hope you got a bit more answer and clarity to all the different setups that you can use for your home theater.
All right, so let me just wrap it up. 2.0 is stereo, so you have left and right. Very often done through two speakers that you have in front of you. 3.0 adds that center speaker. Our sound bars all have 3.0. You add a 0.1, that's a subwoofer for your low frequencies. If you have 5.1, so that the 3 plus the 2 are your surround speakers. And now with the Arc, we are going from 5.0.2. We are adding on the stuff that's going to come from the ceiling. So it's going to get really exciting.
So Christian, so sometimes I would go to my friend's house, before Circuit Breaker, and I look at them, they have very expensive sound system. It looks so much more capable and potential than the sound and the experience that I should have been getting, but it's a bit underwhelming. It doesn't sound that great. Why does it sound that way?
Okay, so to have great sound, besides the system that you have, there are many other factors that also play into this, making it difficult. The size of the room, the shape of the room, even whether you have curtains, day and night curtains, a carpet, all this plays into the sound experience. Now, traditionally, when you had a great sound system, what you needed a sound engineer to come to your home and with a microphone and a calibration device and calibrate the sound for you to have the best possible experience for your home. Now, because Sonos has great software, they have this function called TruePlay. And you can imagine as TruePlay being the sound engineer coming to your home with a microphone, measuring how the sound resonates with your home, your living room, your furniture. So it's a software, and all you do is on the Sonos app, you go to TruePlay, and the Sonos will then the Beam or the Play Bar or the Playbase, they will play certain sounds, and you would be sitting on the sofa where you would watch the movie, and the phone will then measure the sounds that Sonos is playing, and it will realize how the sound resonates with your surrounding, with your living room, and it will calibrate the sound for you so that you have the best possible experience at home. So you get a sound engineer when you have a Sonos at home. It's a function that not many people know of, but that I highly recommend, because I do that all the time, because my living room is a little bit odd shaped. So sometimes when I change from Beam to Play Bar or the other way around, I have to test all the stuff, right? I will always do the TruePlay, and it's a very simple experience, and it looks fun to do that. You would be walking around, or you would be sitting with your iPhone first, and then after that, after the first round, you would be walking around in your home along the walls with your phone, like you wave it like this, and Sonos will keep on playing sounds, and it will measure those sounds. Now, if you don't know what is going on, you would think that I'm crazy, walking around with my phone doing this in my home. So I'm quite glad that nobody can see inside the home when I'm doing it. But it will really help the experience that you have at home.
Well, I love it how that it is also free.
Yeah.
Christian, what about you sharing with us what's the latest trend in this home theater space right now?
So the home theater space is continuously evolving. You may have seen that TVs are becoming thinner, but also bigger. So it's the trend is that you can see in the when you look at the data that TVs are becoming bigger. We have more and bigger TVs. So that's one of the trends, but with it, audio formats are also changing. So we now not only have Dolby Surround, but we also have Dolby Atmos, which is added to the formats. And we already have more than 25 streaming services that support Atmos. And not because of circuit breaker, but people are watching more movies at home. So people still go to the cinema before and after circuit breaker, but more and more people are also watching more movies at home. So that's kind of the trends that we've been seeing and that the ARC is addressing. Now, ARC is a very special soundbar. And David, why don't you tell us more about the ARC?
So here are some details about the Sonos Arc. Firstly, the Sonos Arc has an ultra-wide soundstage and a very impressive bass. So the Sonos Arc is actually a 5.0.2 when playing a Dolby Atmos content soundbar. So it creates...
So I need to interrupt you right there. So for those of you who have just joined us here on Last Live, David mentioned 5.0.2. Earlier on in Last Live, we were explaining all these formats. So David, you're saying that the soundbar, the ARC has 5.0.2. So the first 5 means it's surround. So how can it be that the ARC has surround when it's just in front of you?
So what the Sonos Arc actually has inside it's a soundbar. It has actually 2 channels that's firing directly outwards towards your wall, so that it basically bounces off the sound off the wall, so that it arrives at your ears like as though you're having an whole surround speakers behind you. That's how impressive the Sonos Arc is.
Okay, so I don't need my surround speakers. Can I still add them?
Yes, you can still add them.
Okay, and so 5.0, so there's no subwoofer. 0.2. So what are the last 0.2? What's that about?
So in the Sonos Arc, there's actually 2 speakers that are actually pointing upwards. So it will basically shoot the sound towards your ceiling so that it arrives at you as though that the sound is coming from right on top of you, giving you an even more immersive experience.
All right, so what movie would I be enjoying with 5.0.2?
Basically, if you do like fighting, imagine the bullets flying past you, or planes zooming over you, or a rocket basically flying past, and laser, anything is basically giving you a very more immersive experience.
So if I go to my Apple TV, what must I look out for if I want to enjoy the Ark at its best? What format do I need to rent the movie for?
It has to be Dolby Atmos enabled so that it basically activates the point two.
Okay, so we used to have Dolby Surround, where we have surround sound, and now we have Dolby Atmos, where it's not surround but all around, right, on top of,
Yeah.
of us.
So it gives you a whole dome experience, a whole very, very immersive experience.
Go ahead. Verify go, no go for start automatic launch sequence. Verify go. CTS 561 verified.
10,
CSAC
9,
spacecraft ready, switch on.
8, we have
Switch is
the
on,
main
verify
engine
light.
start. We have main engine start. 4, 3,
63.
2, 1.
Beautiful, beautiful. Isn't that something?
All right. Okay. Now, just to let you know, the Ark is available in for sale in June. It's going to be at retail at 1,499 Singapore dollars, and yeah, from June onwards, you can be purchasing the Ark.
Yeah, just want to add in a bit more details is that the Ark is actually developed in partnership with Oscar-winning sound engineers who are actually part of Sonos Sound Advisory Board that's critical to its development. And one of the person that actually gave his input was the producer of Mad Max. So basically gave the input, you need to make adjustments so that it sounds precisely what the producers, artists intended for you to hear. It's super impressive.
So I saw that I saw some of behind the scenes shots, and I saw he was literally sitting in front of a TV and telling the engineers on how to mix the sound, right, to his liking.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've learned a lot today about how to have a great movie night at home. So the right company, which right now is just the people living in your household, the right movie, and that's really the right movie for you, right? What is good for you? You need to have a TV that has nice, good picture. You need to have great sound, and of course, you need to have the right food, popcorn and ice cream and all that kind of stuff. And I mean, our recommendation to you is to try Sonos. Because there's many other things that Sonos helps you to contribute to a great movie night, and especially at night, there are a few other functions that Sonos has, which David is going to talk about.
Yeah, so one of the functions that people can enjoy with Sonos is that they have actually this function called a speech enhancement. So speech enhancement is basically how you can actually make your vocals clearer than you would normally have. And there's this other mode called a night mode, that if you're watching a very loud, explosive movie at home, you do not want to disturb your neighbors or your other family members at home or your kids that are sleeping, well, you can turn on a night mode and it will basically taper down the night explosive sound so that you do not disturb your neighbors. So with that, with the speech enhancement and night mode, it basically can make your whole movie night even more enjoyable.
Yeah, so I really like the speech enhancement because some movies are mixed. Like you have either a car chase, a car race, or you have like a plane experience, and it's so noisy and they're talking to each other. And sometimes when they mix the movie, they didn't have make the speech such that it's easy for us to hear. So Sonos automatically recognizes the frequencies when they speak to each other. So when you switch that on, speech enhancement, it will automatically level up that dialogue, so you don't need to make it even louder or go closer to the TV. Now, David, I know that the Ark is gonna get us great audio performance, great movie theater performance, but I heard that it's also a smart speaker. Now, what exactly do we mean by the Ark being a smart speaker?
So the Ark itself actually has microphones inside that you can actually choose to your voice assistant, whether you want it to be Google Assistant or Amazon Alexa. You have the freedom of choice to decide which voice assistant you want it. And with that, you're able to control all your different home appliances that are smart. For example, your aircon, your lights, your doors, your curtain, whatever platform that you're using, such as Google Home or Amazon Alexa, you can make your whole home even smarter with the Sonos Arc.
Okay, but hey, if I'm watching this really, touching movie, and I just need the aircon to cool down the room a little, and it's really loud. So do I have to scream at the Arc for it to understand that I'm actually wanting my Google Assistant to lower the aircon?
No, you don't need. Basically, the Sonos Arc itself knows what audio output is going out, so that it basically cancels out the audio output and receives your audio commands to tell your smart home devices to lower the aircon so that you get an even more comfortable home movie night experience.
Now, I've got just one more question, and I have some friends that are very concerned about privacy. So you mean the Arc is continuously listening to us?
No, you also have the choice to basically turn off the mic so that you keep your privacy and you are safe. No one's listening.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us here. And if you'd like to know all the Sonos that we are currently having in our assortments, go at the bottom of the page and click over there. Thank you.
Thank you.